we're going to review graphing coordinates today. So quickly, let's all take a look at this. Now, we all should know this from 8th grade, 7th grade, right? The x-axis is just a number line. It's horizontal. That means it goes from left to right. Okay, so it goes from left to right. That's an x-axis. The y-axis, it's a vertical number line. That means up and down, right? When you put them together, when you put the x-axis together with the y-axis intersecting at the value of 0 and being perpendicular to each other, that's when we end up with a coordinate plane, an xy plane. Sorry, this is ugly. But yeah, this is the x, this is the y. Y always points to the sky.
So the y is the one to the right side, right?
Y, okay, well, we haven't even gotten to the actual values yet. Let's get to the coordinates, so we'll be talking about what you're talking about, Enrique. A coordinate, first of all, a coordinate is just a location on the xy plane, but it's also known as an ordered pair. Why is it known as an ordered pair? Because what does pair mean? What does pair mean? Two. And so we're talking about two numbers that are in order. Now, what do I mean they're in order? They're in alphabetical order. It's your x value first and then your y value. And it's always going to be with parentheses with a comma in between. So your x value is always going to be here, your y value is always going to be here. And if you go to the x and the y, that's how you get to the location on the xy plane. So for example, the coordinate 0, 0, that has an x value of 0 and a y value of 0. And that is a location on the xy plane. So if I go, here's an xy plane, if I go to my x-axis, and if I tell you go to the value of 2, you'd go out here. If I tell you go to the value of negative 3, you'd go over here. If I tell you go to the value of 0, you would stay right there. So the coordinate 0, 0, that's saying that you want to go to your x-axis, go to 0, go to your y-axis, go to 0, and you end up right there at that location. And that location, the coordinate 0, 0, that's the location that's called the origin. Now, the word origin, that means beginning, right? So the original Coca-Cola, what do they claim? What does Coca-Cola claim, the original Coca-Cola? They claim to be the very first soda that tastes like that. Then Pepsi came up and then other colas came out, right? The original Levi jeans, what does that mean? What are they claiming by saying the original? That they were the first ones that came up with those types of jeans, and then other jeans came up afterwards. So origin means beginning, and we call the coordinate 0, 0 the origin because in a sense that's where we begin when we graph other coordinates, right? That's the beginning on graphing. So how to graph an ordered pair is right here, and again this should all be a review. To graph the coordinate 5, 6, we first need to understand that the x value is 5 and the y value is 6. So what that means is to go to your x-axis to the value of 5, go to your y-axis to the value of 6, and that'll be the location. So from the origin, it's easy to think, I'm going to travel 5 on the x-axis. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are right there at the value of 5 on the x. And then the y value is 6, so y goes up and down. Positive 6 would be up here, negative 6 would be down there. So you would obviously, from the traveling 5 on the x, you're going to go 6 on the y, and you'd get to that location 5, 6. So this is all printed out for you. It's not like you're copying anything down, but we need to understand how to graph coordinates, okay? So what do you guys think? Do you understand? Yes. If I gave you this coordinate right here, just tell me, what would that coordinate be right there? That would be the coordinate in parentheses negative 3, 3. Now, why is that? Because if you start at the origin, you go negative 3 on the x-axis, you go positive 3 on the y-axis, and you end up at that location. All right? How about the coordinate, this coordinate right here? Actually, let me do it in red. That coordinate right there. What would that be?
0, negative 3.
That'd be 0, negative 3. Thank you very much. So, again, this is a review. We should all know how to do this. Also, in addition to coordinates, we need to know quadrants. Quadrants are the areas of the coordinate plane. So our first quadrant is right here. Our second quadrant is right here. Third quadrant here. Fourth quadrant here. It is counterclockwise. Normally when you look at a clock, you're going this way. But this is actually going backwards. You're starting at 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going counterclockwise. That's technically because when we go to geometry, we start measuring angles like this, a 45-degree angle. This is, from here to here is a 90-degree angle. This is like 110. So when you start graphing angles, it goes in a counterclockwise fashion. So that's why these quadrants are counterclockwise. Anyway, if we notice, any coordinate in quadrant 1 is going to be both positive x and positive y. So for example, this coordinate right here, that's a coordinate 3, 3, positive 3, positive 3. Any coordinate up here will be positive, positive. Okay? So we could actually jot that down, positive, positive for quadrant 1. For quadrant 2, you're going to have a negative, comma, a positive. Okay? In order to get up here in this quadrant, it's going to be a negative value on the x and a positive value on the y. That's the only way you'll get to quadrant 2. The only way to get to quadrant 3 is a negative on the x and also a negative on the y. That's the only way to get to quadrant 3. So you would have a negative, comma, negative. The only way to get to quadrant 4, you need a what kind of x value? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. So we could do this. Positive for the x. And how about for the y?
Negative.
Negative for the y. Perfect. And that's how we get to the quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I hope we understand how to plot points. I hope we understand quadrants. That was a super quick review. How about you guys go ahead and actually let's do this. Everybody go to the value of 4 on the x. And that's what we're going to do right now before you mention that. Go to the value of 4 on the x. So from the origin, go to 4 and then go up to right here, this halfway point. Okay, so let's all put a dot right there at the halfway point, and we'll call that point C because we have a point C missing. I'm sorry. So go ahead and graph those points. So from the origin, in order to get to A, you remember it's an ordered pair because you always go in order, your x first and your y second. So if you're at the origin, on the x number line, are you going to go to the left? Are you going to go negatives on the x or are you going to go positives? Positives. How many units? 2 units on the x for A. So we should all put a 2 on the A. And how many on the y? Up 7 on the y. If you would have gone down, that would have been negative 7, but you're going up 7, so that's positive 7 on the y. And that's why point A is the location 2 on the x, 7 on the y. Point B, what's the location? Negative 4 on the x, positive 6 on the y. So B is negative 4, positive 6. C is that interesting one. How many do we go on the x? 4. And how many do we go on the y? 1.5 or 1.5. But perfect. Yeah, 4 on the x, 1.5 on the y. Or you could say 1 and 1/2. Whatever you want. Decimals or fractions is fine. Point D, from the origin, where do I go? Negative 3, negative 1, 2, 3. So negative 3, negative 3. Let's go to point E, from the origin. Do I go left or right? Nowhere. You stay right there. So on the x number line, I want to stay at the x value of 0. So the x value is 0 for E. And now, do I want to go positives or negatives on the y? How many?
2.
Positive 2 on the y. So 0, 2 is the coordinate for that point E. Point F, what's the coordinate for point F? Positive what?
7.
Positive 7 and then negative 5. Positive 7, negative 5. Positive 7 on the x, negative 5 on the y. Now, we're going to stop right here on our notes, but we're going to do this battleship activity. So first thing to do is you're going to be playing against somebody, so you could turn your desks if you want. You don't have to, but place something in between so you guys can't see each other's little piece of paper. Maybe like a book or maybe a backpack in between you and your partner. Now, so the very first thing to do, it says right here on the instructions, you want to draw 4 5-unit long boats. They could be horizontal, vertical, diagonal, anywhere on the graph, but not overlapping. So check this out. Let's go down to your ships and watch me do it first. You don't do it yet, all right? I want to do 4 boats that are 5 units long. So I need to put 5 dots on a straight line. So here, look, check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one boat right there. Here's another one. 1. Don't do the same ones as me. That won't make sense. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another boat right there. So don't do the same boats as me, guys. Just watch me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another one right there. And then maybe be a little tricky. I want to go on the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that my boats are not overlapping, right? Yeah. You cannot have overlapping boats. So you draw your ships, you cover them up with your hand or with a backpack or with the book or something. And the other person, the person you're playing against also does this, right? And then you guys start taking turns shooting. So for example, check this out. Up here it says shots fired. So let's say it's my turn, okay? And they say, go ahead and shoot. And I'm like, okay, before me saying anything, I'm going to take my pencil and on this graph, tell me where to stop.
Right there.
So I'm going to put a dot right there. And this is where I'm going to shoot. I already shot right there, but I need to tell the other person where I shot. Where did I shoot? I shot at the coordinate 1 on the X, 2 on the Y. Now, they're going to check their boats and see if I actually hit them.
Most likely there's a shot there.
Now, if they say, oh, you missed, okay, well then you missed. Now it's the other person's turn. And then the other person says, you know, I don't know, you guys give me a coordinate.
1-1.
1-1. Somebody said 1-1. I'm going to check my boats and see if they hit me at 1-1. Did they hit me at 1-1? Yeah, so I'm going to have to mark my boat, put an X right there. And because they hit me at 1-1, they get to take another shot and keep taking shots until they miss.
So they have to destroy.
They have to destroy all my ships. Whoever destroys all the ships first wins. Now check this out. Check this out. Let's pretend. Okay, so let's pretend it's my turn. I shot at the coordinate -2, 3. I missed, and then they shot and they missed, and then I shot. Let's say at -1, 0, and they say you hit me. Okay, so you need to keep track of all your shots. And when they tell you you hit me, you do something special to that dot. I want to put an X because that's where I actually hit. Now, since I hit them, I get to take another shot. So what would be a good coordinate to pick next, knowing that I already hit here? Yeah, 0, 0 would be a good one because a boat might be this way. Or -1, 1, that'd be good if the boat's going this way. Or maybe even 0, 1 if it's going this way. Or maybe even -2, -1 if it's going this way. So yeah, and then I shoot again. And I say, okay, 0, 0. And they say, no, you missed. Okay, so I know that it's not going this way anymore. So when it's my turn again, I'll shoot somewhere, maybe up here, maybe there. So you got to keep track of every single one of your shots. Okay, so you plot the shot. Why are we keeping track? Because you don't want to be shooting in the same location if you already missed. So keep track of your shots.
So whenever we say a shot, we mark it on.
Yeah, whenever you say the shot that you're shooting, you mark it on your shots fired. Okay? And then when they shoot, they should be marking it on their shots fired. Now, if they do hit you, you have to mark it where they hit you. You want 4 or 5 unit long ships. So go ahead and draw your ships and then decide who goes first. And then you start taking shots. Keep track of your shots. I'll be walking around to see if you guys are doing this activity correctly. Let's do it.